INFJ intuition explained, how they know things before they happen. If you're an INFJ, you've probably experienced moments you just can't explain. Moments when your chest tightens before someone speaks. When you sense a shift in the emotional atmosphere of a room. Or when you predict an outcome before anyone else even imagines it. You don't always know how you know, you simply do. And for most of your life, you've been told that it's weird, or overthinking, or just guessing. But deep down, you've always known there's more. More to the way you notice patterns others overlook. More to the way you read people without trying. More to the way your mind leaps forward in time, stitching possibilities together like threads in a vast, invisible tapestry. Today, we're going to explore that more. We're going to unravel the psychology, the emotional logic, and the quiet power behind your intuition, and why INFJs often know things before they happen. 1. The moment INFJ intuition awakens. Most INFJs can trace their intuition back to childhood, not to one moment, but to a pattern of moments that stitched themselves into identity long before you had language to describe it. You might remember sitting at the edge of a crowded room, watching adults speak in half sentences, layered meanings flickering like shadows behind their words. You noticed the way someone's smile didn't reach their eyes. You sensed tension behind a supposedly peaceful silence. You felt storms before they arrived. While other children focused on what was happening, your mind asked deeper, quieter questions. Why is she acting like she's okay? Why does he look away at that exact moment? What is the meaning behind this pattern I'm seeing? Even before you understood the world, you were mapping it. And that right there, is where INFJ intuition is born. 2. The architecture of the INFJ mind. To understand why INFJs just know, we have to step inside the psychological framework that shapes their perception. INFJs rely on a cognitive function called introverted intuition, often described as pattern seeking. Abstract, future-oriented, and profoundly internal. But this description hardly captures the emotional reality of what it feels like. For you, intuition isn't an idea. It's not a guess. It's not even a flash of insight. It's a processing system that runs beneath the surface of your consciousness, a system that is always watching, pairing microsignals with emotional memory, building predictions based on patterns you don't consciously realize you've absorbed. It feels like a quiet tug in the chest, a voice without sound, an image that appears fully formed, or a subtle click that tells you something is true. It's a sensation that arrives without fanfare, without explanation, but with absolute certainty. Your intuition doesn't speak in words. It speaks in impressions, metaphors, symbolic images, patterns weaving themselves into meaning. While other types gather data outwardly, INFJs gather data inwardly. Your mind compresses enormous amounts of emotional and observational information, turning raw experience into distilled insight that often appears far ahead of its time. 3. The quiet pattern no one else sees. INFJs often notice emotional and behavioral shifts long before the people experiencing them. You feel when someone is pulling away before they consciously realize they are. You sense when a relationship will change before anything obvious happens. You pick up the unspoken pressure building in a conversation. You detect inconsistencies in someone's story even when their words sound perfect. This isn't magic. This isn't psychic ability. It's sensitivity paired with a mind that sees trajectory. You watch people, not on purpose, but because you can't help it, and you intuitively study the subtle patterns in their behavior, the phrases they repeat, the excuses they use, the pauses that grow longer, the micro-expressions that flicker across their faces, the contradictions they hope no one notices, and your mind immediately begins constructing the future pattern. If this continues, this is where it leads. Most people wait for concrete evidence. INFJs act on emotional evidence. And emotional evidence is often far ahead of physical reality. 4. Why INFJs can predict outcomes. INFJs predict things early because your mind works like a movie editor. You take fragments, a tone of voice, a pattern of behavior, a sudden shift in someone's energy, and you splice them together, mentally running the film forward to see what scene comes next. Your predictions aren't guesses, they're logical extensions of what you've already observed. The difference is that your logic happens behind the curtain, beneath conscious awareness. To others, it seems like your conclusions come out of nowhere. To you, they arrive fully formed. And because you can't always articulate the why, people sometimes dismiss your intuition. And that hurts. Not because you need to be right, but because you know what's coming, and you carry the emotional weight of a future no one else sees yet. 5. The loneliness of knowing too soon. One of the hardest parts of being an INFJ is sensing a truth before people are ready to face it. You see the relationship crack before it breaks. You feel a friend drifting emotionally long before the official goodbye. You recognize workplace conflicts before they erupt. You sense a person's hidden intentions before they reveal themselves. And often, you carry these insights alone. Because you've learned, painfully, what happens when you speak too early. People misunderstand. People push back. People accuse you of overthinking or being dramatic. So INFJs learn to stay quiet, to let reality catch up, to wait for the moment when others finally see what you saw. This quiet waiting creates an emotional pressure that INFJs rarely speak about, the pressure of living in a future that hasn't happened yet, while everyone around you still lives in the present. 6. The symbolic language of INFJ intuition. Your intuition communicates through symbols, metaphors, and internal imagery. You might suddenly picture a bridge cracking, a candle burning out, a storm forming on the horizon, or a path splitting in two. These symbols are not random. They represent emotional truths your subconscious has recognized before your conscious mind catches up. Your inner world is rich, layered, and symbolic, like a library of emotional stories that play out inside you. Where others think linearly, you think holistically. Where others focus on isolated facts, you see invisible connections. This symbolic language allows your mind to jump ahead, to move from present to future in one intuitive leap. 7. Why INFJ intuition feels spiritual. Even if you're not spiritual, your intuition often feels that way. Because it doesn't arrive through conscious reasoning. It arrives through resonance. A sensation. A pull. A knowing. And the knowing feels both deeply internal and somehow connected to something beyond yourself, as though your intuition plugs into a collective emotional field. This sense of connection can be comforting, overwhelming, or confusing depending on the moment. But one thing remains constant. You don't experience intuition as an intellectual process, you experience it as a lived, emotional truth. 8. The emotional cost of being right. Here's something most people don't realize. Most INFJs don't enjoy being right about their predictions, they suffer because of it. Seeing the truth early means feeling the loss early. Understanding someone's hidden motives means feeling the betrayal long before it happens. Knowing a situation will collapse means carrying the emotional burden in advance. INFJs don't predict to control. You predict because your mind refuses not to see the patterns. And sometimes, you wish you couldn't see them. You wish you could live in the present like everyone else, without feeling the tremors of a future earthquake weeks before the first crack appears. 9. How INFJ intuition protects others. INFJs often use intuition to guard the people they care about. You sense danger, emotional or otherwise, and gently guide others away from it. You foresee outcomes and help people navigate towards something healthier. You detect dishonesty and try to protect those who can't see it yet. You feel emotional undercurrents and use them to support, comfort, or encourage the people you love. Your intuition isn't passive, it's protective. And the world often underestimates just how deeply you think about others, long before they realize they need help. 10. How to trust your INFJ intuition. Many INFJs struggle with self-doubt because other people have questioned their intuition in the past. But intuition becomes stronger when you reflect on past insights that proved accurate. Practice articulating patterns instead of suppressing them. Allow yourself to observe without needing immediate explanation. Stop dismissing your emotional intelligence. Give your inner voice space to breathe. Strengthening your intuition isn't about forcing it, it's about trusting it, listening to it, honoring it, allowing it to exist without needing to justify itself to everyone. INFJ intuition is not a curse, though at times, it feels heavy. It is not magical, though it feels mysterious. It is not coincidence, though it seems uncanny to others. INFJ intuition is a way of seeing the world from the inside out. A way of listening not just to words, but to meaning. Not just to behavior, but to intention. Not just to the present moment, but to the story unfolding behind it. Your intuition is a gift, one that grows with self-trust, self-understanding, and self-acceptance. And the more you embrace it, the more the world finally begins to make sense.